The vision for Comic Republic was really twofold. One was to create icons for people like myself, people of color and people of African origin. I'm Jide Martins, and I'm fortunate to be the CEO of Comic Republic. When I was young, when I was in school, I used to create comic books for my friends. And for me, I learned how to be a better person because I wanted to be a superhero. And I wanted to share that, notion or that concept with my friends, a belief in something higher than yourself.
I remember I took one of his comic books, because now he started making his own comic books. I took one of his comic books to school. I remember maybe I was in just one or two or something, and everybody was like, nah, nobody drew that. It was a proper comic, somebody was doing it, it's a proper artist. I said, no, it's my brother. My brother did it, And I think for the first time, it clicked that he was good.
And so I carried that burden in my heart that I was going to educate, people like myself, people indigenous to Africa, either in diaspora or wherever. And so when the time was right, when I felt like I could afford it, I felt, okay, this is a good time. Second thing was, I grew up having, hearing a lot of negativity from Western media. And I was a big fan of Western media, I won't lie. But that wasn't my reality, right? I wasn't from a rich background at all, but I somehow saw the positive and the negative side. And as a person, I decided from a very young age to focus on the positive. I wanted to put Africa's best foot forward. I wanted to show the world the beautiful side of Africa, its people, its landscape, and its culture, which to me was pretty exciting, very beautiful, and could match with anything else I was seeing in the news. And that really drove me into creating Comic Republic. So first, when I was a lot younger, I had this friend called Wale Awelenje. I usually just used to run all my ideas through him. He was the one person that cared to listen. People would look at this grown man in Nigeria. Why are you talking about comics? Wale actually listened. And he was a writer himself. So I'll tell him, I have this concept of a superhero and blah blah blah. And Wale would try and write something for it and stuff like that. Yeah. So because I'd run 2 or 3 businesses before, I understood that it had to be more than one man, it had to be different people for us to actually, create a business, at least to start off, especially with production times and stuff like that. So I started telling people, anybody that wanted to hear, and then I told our now head of marketing, Eduve Martin, and then I also told our head of legal now, a gentleman called Tohibi Paye. And I said, hey guys, I wanted to do this. And again, for second phase, I finally got people who wanted to listen. They liked the drawing, they liked everything, and they're like, okay, let's do this, right? And then I kept telling people I was about to do this, and then I ran into, and I think this was fate more than coincidence. I ran into 3 gentlemen who, one could draw, one could color, and one could write. So I approached these guys, I said, hey guys, I want to do something crazy. And they're like, well, I want to create a comic book.
It was Martin, it was Michael, myself, my brother Ozo, and Eduve. It was just...
So we used to call ourselves 5 guys on a table. Yeah. Actually, 4 guys on a table and 1 lady behind camera.
Yeah, she was behind.
She was always behind camera, making superhero jollof.
Funny thing is that they also had their concepts for superheroes. So my first superhero was Guardian Prime, who is our flagship character now, and 3 of them created a team called HeroGen. And I had Guardian Prime and Ajay. The very first comic book, the first 3 comic books that Comic Republic released, I drew myself. Most people don't know that. Michael, Balogun, Tobe Ezeugo, and Ozo Ezeugo all created HeroGen, and then they drew and colored it themselves. So we're doing that simultaneously.
So for me, it was more of a action speaks louder than words, type thing, where you have someone who says he's going to do this, and he doesn't just speak about the things he's going to do. He takes actions, and then you see results. And if I am anything, I am one person who believes in results. And when I see the evidence of, things getting done, I follow. Yeah, I follow and I give my all. And that has been what has, pushed me all through the years, kept me here, the results. We have, a project that we want to kick off, we want to start, and it goes really well because, we have someone who is a visionary, who knows what he's doing, who knows where he wants to get to, what he wants to achieve, and he believes that this set of people that he's working with can actually achieve with him as well.
So it's a little difficult because my brother is a bit of a mad scientist, At a point, he was into inventions. He wanted to make something that could fly, something that could... So he's always had like a harebrained scheme all the time. He's always trying to innovate on something. So it wasn't a shocker. And at the time when he said, okay, I'm going to do this as a business, he had already started another business. So there was there wasn't any worry about him having business acumen. He had grown that business into something substantial. It wasn't a big business, it was a small business, but it was still something that gave me assurances that he's not going to starve, He will do this if he can do it, and if he can't do it, he'll know he can't do it. So I wasn't too worried about it. I think for me, my concern for him was how people were going to accept him. When I think about it now, I was like, will people think he's crazy? Will people accept comic books as a business, as a source of living? So my concern was, how will people accept him?
Going to how we published, Silverbird Cinema was about to release Man of Steel. And this is how we really kicked off. And the whole country was going crazy then because Man of Steel was coming out, oh my God. And I thought, this is probably the best place for us to let the world know what we're doing. So I approached Silverbird to their surprise, and I told them, hey guys, your flyers that you use for movies, could we pay for 2 advert pages? Because they were allowing people to pay for advert pages. So, and then I went back to say, no, I want to pay for 4. And can we publish a 4-page comic in the flyer so that people are coming to watch Man of Steel? When you give them the movie flyer, they are forced to read the comic at the back. And so, to my surprise, they agreed. I was like, these guys are going to kick me out. But they agreed. And then, I raised the money, and then I actually published the books then. The release day, we actually put up a banner, we took pictures and stuff like that. And, it was just a hit. People were writing us to say, oh, this is so cool. They were writing our Facebook page, because we also posted the comic book on Facebook. Funding Comic Republic, when we started, was one of those things where everybody thought, I was going crazy, right? I was running 2 businesses at that time. One was longer than the other. So I'd been doing fashion at that point in time for at least 5 years, where I had a fashion outfit that ran out of Obalende. I actually had stores in Obalende and tailors there. I took all my funding from the linen, and I was like, okay, I was going to use it to start this business. At that point in time, I spoke to the young men who wanted to start, and I was like, okay, I'll pay you for the art that you're doing. It wasn't much, we were just starting. They were more passionate about the art than even the cash, And we just started out small, For a while, most of the artists were not being paid very well because we were not even making money. And that's the beginning of most businesses. To be honest, most businesses start with people who are just willing to give their time. But the good thing is, after the success of the first publication on the Silverbird Flyer Facebook page, we were able to catch the attention of First Bank then, right? And we literally, I'm sure then, and this was literally 10 years ago, we charged First Bank 800,000 to put, something that we called the lifestyle ad, where we had our characters, the product was weaved into the story, right? So if somebody walks into a First Bank bank, somebody's wearing a First Bank t-shirt, we weaved it into in between the panels and stuff like that. Anybody that goes to read the second or third issue of Might of Garden Prime will ask if this was a First Bank flyer, right? And they paid us 800,000 then. And to be honest, that was the money that I've used to go and incorporate the business. And that's after the first ad. That money was a lot of money then, and so that carried us for a couple of issues. The rest of it was self-funded. Plenty days of friends and family support, plenty days of me taking money from other businesses to put in, plenty days of borrowing money and people chasing me to pay back the money that I borrowed, you know. But I'm grateful that I went through all of that, because that's what made Comic Republic, you know, survive in those days before we started getting our first, you know, clients as a business.